The big political story we're tracking this Monday, the capital awaits a big announcement today, and it's an announcement which Delhi has been waiting for a while now. A crucial hurdle of the Election Commission is over and poll dates could be announced at a press briefing scheduled for 4:30 p.m. this evening. Sources indicate that voting may take place in the national capital either on the 9th, the 11th or the 13th of February. Delhi was under President's rule after former Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal resigned in February 2014 following a brief stint of 49 days in power. The Aam Aadmi Party had managed to strike gold in its debut and formed the government with the help of the Congress last time. The Aam Aadmi Party has already announced candidates for all 70 seats, including that of Kejriwal, who will seek re-election from New Delhi. The Congress, on the other hand, is still reeling under the devastating blow after the Lok Sabha rout and poor show in the recently concluded assembly elections in Maharashtra, Haryana, Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir. It has already announced candidates for 24 seats.
चुनी हुई सरकार उनके बीच में आ जाए और जितना जल्दी हो जाए जो बेयर मिनिमम डेज चाहिए 25-30 दिन का समय चाहिए चुनाव आयोग को चुनाव करवाने के लिए, तो उतने दिन में चुनाव हो जाना चाहिए. दिल्ली है, यहाँ तो कोई ऐसा दुर्गम रास्ते भी नहीं है.
Joining me live from the national capital is my colleague Maha Siddiqui and Ashar Ahmed Khan. Maha, I'd like to come across to you first. That Election Commission crucial meeting that has just concluded in the national capital, 4:30 p.m. is when we're expecting the big announcement.
Well, absolutely, Rishika. A 45-minute meeting took place this morning between 11:15 and 12, wherein the Election Commission, what we understand, has decided upon the dates, which they will announce at 4:30 this evening.
Right.
What we also know is that they are looking at a window between the 9th and the 13th to hold elections and wrap up the process so that the Delhi Assembly is in place before the scheduled tenure of President's rule gets over. Now, Rishika, what we understand also is that there are certain apprehensions at this point in time that have been voiced by Congress and Aam Aadmi Party with regards to the electoral rolls.
That's right.
And the BJP also, we understand, was perhaps in favor of elections being held not in February but in April, so that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi can hold election rallies for them, which might be difficult for him as there are some big ticket visits, especially of President Barack Obama from the US.
All right. Also that, heavy, in fact, relying on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's image, that seems to be the strategy that has worked for the BJP in the past. Whether it will continue to work for the BJP or not is, of course, a big question. Also joining me live is Brijesh Pandey now. But Ashar, I'd like to come to you first. The Congress, it appears, has almost conceded defeat. Sheila Dikshit, in an interview to you, earlier has almost indicated that Delhi is now a two-way fight.
Well, what the Congress has been saying is that they should not count the Congress out just as yet. But yes, if that is what Sheila Dikshit told us, that if such a situation comes, the Congress can perhaps ally with the Aam Aadmi Party. But on the other hand, we see that there are certain MPs of the Congress from Delhi who are also keen to fight these assembly elections.
Right.
The Congress is trying to get its act together. They've got a new in charge as far as the General Secretary is concerned. They've got a new PCC president after the last time drubbing they had. So clearly they're trying to put things in order. They're trying to get their house in order, and they're waiting and watching as to what happens. But yes, definitely they also deep down understand that this is not their game.
All right, Congress, they're understanding that this is not their game, interestingly saying that they may even consider supporting the Aam Aadmi Party. I'd like to go across to Brijesh Pandey now. Brijesh, the BJP has been on a winning spree. They've been emboldened by Maharashtra, Haryana, Jharkhand and also to an extent Jammu and Kashmir. And quite evidently, what we saw at Ram Leela Maidan, the BJP is banking on the Modi factor.
Well, absolutely. 2014 has been a dream run for BJP, and I don't think any year is going to replicate 2014 for them. But as far as Delhi is concerned, there's a apprehension in certain quarters within the BJP. There have been talks of infighting, lack of leader who could be projected as an alternative to Arvind Kejriwal. See, because unlike other states where there were a factor of anti-incumbency votes, Delhi is devoid of any such factors or wave. So the command of the the campaigning has been taken over by BJP President Amit Shah, and he has kind of cracked the whip to make sure that the cadre of the BJP is in fighting fit spirit. But they are definitely not approaching the election in overconfident mode. They know that Aam Aadmi Party at the last minute can spring some surprises, so they are not taking their opposition lightly. How does Congress stands vis-a-vis the BJP was very clear when Narendra Modi barely made a couple of mentions of Congress Party in his 47-minute long speech.
Well, clearly, the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi mentioned Arvind Kejriwal so many times and launched a very personal direct attack on him, in a certain sense, is, Modi acknowledging the fact that the Aam Aadmi Party is the biggest challenger for the BJP in the national capital. Maha, I'd like to come back to you. We were talking about the issue of bogus voters. Now, that is something that has been raised by the Congress Party and the Aam Aadmi Party. We're expecting that the Election Commission will, in fact, issue some clarification on that. But also, in the run-up to this big announcement, we've seen, allegations of horse trading that have been flying thick and fast. There have been several complaints that have been launched to the Election Commission. Are we expecting a clarity on a lot of those issues as well this evening?
Well, horse trading is something that the issue cropped up right after the fractured mandate that came for Delhi last year itself. And since then, there have been many attempts, even after that, after Arvind Kejriwal quit, by other parties to perhaps get some numbers in order to form a government, perhaps. However, that is one thing that is part and parcel, unfortunately, of the system that is in place of people trying to lure people from the other party to cobble up a government in case of a fractured mandate. That apart, as far as the duplication of voters is concerned, Rishika, as you were pointing out, yes, that matter is in court, and we understand there's a hearing tomorrow in which the Election Commission will clarify as to whether this 1.2 lakh voters that they've themselves figured out, there has been certain sort of duplication, whether they can eliminate them at during these elections, the fresh elections that are going to be held in Delhi. So that clarity will come tomorrow. However, even in the press conference today, that question is something that the Election Commission will be facing as to how they are going to arrest that.
Right. Ashar Ahmed Khan, the Congress has, in the run-up to this announcement been protesting on several issues. But the one thing that continues to haunt the party is, the lack of a chief ministerial face in, the light of that announcement being made today and polls likely to happen sometime in mid-February. How is the Congress party now strategizing to campaign for the Delhi elections? Is there going to be a chief ministerial face? Is Rahul Gandhi perhaps going to come out and lead the charge? What are we likely to see happen?
Well, as far as the Congress party is concerned, in any state where they do not have a sitting chief minister, a chief ministerial candidate is never announced. That has been the policy. This time around also, when we asked this question, they came back to us and said that does BJP have a chief ministerial candidate? As far as Rahul Gandhi and the Congress president are concerned, in any state where elections take place in the country, they both go and campaign. And here also, as we speak, a plan is being drawn out as far as campaigning schedules of both the Congress president and the Congress vice president are concerned. Though the Congress at the moment may seem like the number 3rd party as it was in the last assembly elections, but they are not going to give it up easily. They are going to try very hard, and that is what we expect.
All right, Brijesh, when it comes to the BJP also, that seems to be the strategy that they've employed, and that has perhaps worked for them, in 2014. There is no chief ministerial candidate who's announced in advance. They're solely relying on the Modi factor to, get them through even in the election in Delhi. But, the fact is that since 2014, especially since the Lok Sabha elections, there have been a couple of issues that have been cornering the government, whether it was the issue of religious conversions, whether it is the issue of inflation. Are these now perhaps likely, to be issues that could trouble the BJP in Delhi?
Well, it could, and that is why BJP leaderships are not taking any chances. Where exactly they stand vis-a-vis the elections in Delhi was clearly evident when during the winter session the BJP president asked all the 325 MPs, both from Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha, to go ahead and conduct as much as 6 to 7 Nukkad Sabhas, which amounted to more than to close to 2,000 rallies in Delhi. So it very clearly shows that BJP is not at all taking the challenge lying down. They know for sure that they have a formidable opposition in the form of Arvind Kejriwal, and they don't want to take any chances,
Right.
because any reversal of role of electoral fortune in Delhi will definitely be seen as the Modi juggernaut role being stopped by Arvind Kejriwal, and it will give an immense fillip to the stature of Arvind Kejriwal, and BJP is extremely aware of it, and this is the reason why, despite all the talks by the fringe Hindu outfits and couple of BJP MPs, the main focus of the party has consistently been that agenda of the development. Rashika?
Well, absolutely. They continue to harp on the agenda of development, but there are several issues that could, in fact, disturb, the BJP's winning spree. The biggest, of course, being Kejriwal with the stunning debut that they made in 2013. Can they actually replicate that again in 2015 is, of course, a whole new question that remains to be answered. Maha Siddiqui, Ashar Khan, Brijesh Pandey, thank you so much for joining me.